What is up, guys? Welcome back to Touring Taste Buds. Today we're literally just going to share with you some of our favorite road trips that we've taken in the past that we think you should take in 2019.
We're going to recommend 3 of our favorite road trips that we think would be ideal for trips for you guys in 2019. Easy to plan, easy to execute, and beautiful.
So we're just going to share when we did it, why we liked it, where we stayed, and a couple of things that we think that you should do when you go there. If you haven't been following along with us in our journey and our travels, we renovated an Airstream. It's right there.
Back there.
And we hit the West Coast and did that for about 4 months and then kind of worked our way back around to Nashville. But before that, we actually did a huge road trip that made us kind of fall in love with this whole idea, and that was
a road trip towards the West Coast as well, but we ended up in Utah. Was about as far west as we got. We did Arizona, Utah, and Colorado as our main stops, and we rented an RV for that. So if you haven't heard about that story, that's basically what kind of inspired the whole Airstream situation, and that was definitely one of our favorites too. So we'll cover several that we've hit over these last 2 trips, and we think you should do them too. We're gonna give you all the tips and tricks.
Buckle up. Literally.
Okay, so the first one I'm going to recommend is Highway 1 in Northern California and Southern Oregon. So this is obviously a very famous highway that plenty of people have driven before, but now we want to recommend it to you because the entire highway is actually open, which it hasn't been for some previous years. We did this on our West Coast road trip with our Airstream over the summer this last year. And honestly, we loved it so much because you're driving right along the coast. There's dramatic coastlines, cliffs, beautiful views, anything you could ask for, beaches to stop at along the way. So basically anything that you could want in a road trip, it basically covers off on. Honestly, we had a lot of good places we stopped along the way too. One of our favorites was when we stayed right in the Redwoods. So there was a campsite right off of Highway 1, right north of the Redwoods National Park. That was probably the most beautiful campsite we've ever stayed at. It was right on a river. You literally looked right out your windows to a beautiful river with mountains all around. So we definitely recommend staying there. And honestly, if you're gonna be driving it, drive slow. Stop all the places you want to stop along the way. Stop off at the beach at different locations. Go into Oregon, look at their beach. It's different than in California. Take all the pictures. Do some drone shots if you have a drone. We recommend just stopping so many times on this road trip because it's just so aesthetically pleasing and beautiful that you can't take enough photos.
If you are flying a drone, just get yourself acquainted with the rules, the laws, the regulations, all the above. And just be respectful of everything, you know?
So yeah, number 1 recommendation is Highway 1 in Northern California and Southern Oregon. That was our favorite part of that trip. It was just so beautiful. So we obviously highly recommend it in 2019, especially now that the entire road is open and it's pretty much endless where you can drive.
All right, so number 2 has to be the road trip that we took through Glacier to Yellowstone to Grand Teton National Park.
So true.
It was amazing. It was beautiful, gorgeous, phenomenal. Every other word that you want to use to describe this, it was that. They were amazing, easy roads to drive on, especially when you're towing a trailer. And like Steph said, aesthetically pleasing is the perfect word for that. So what we did was we started in Glacier National Park. We actually boondocked in the national park, and it was beautiful. That was one reason why we fell in love with it, honestly. You just get to wake up in the morning and literally just drive through the national park. We did a bunch of hikes there, a bunch of just kind of sightseeing. If you go there, a tip has to be stop at the camp store in Glacier National Park and get some of that huckleberry ice cream. It was really delicious. So after we did Glacier, we then went to Yellowstone National Park and we stayed at the KOA. Don't be afraid to stay at a KOA. I know it gets a bad rap, or people say it's expensive or whatever else it is, but don't be afraid to stay there because sometimes it's really nice. We had an amazing view, and we got to see the sunrise, the sunset, not to mention it was really close to the national park. Tip, wake up really early, 5, 6 a.m. and get your butt in the national park and go explore, because
particularly that national park.
Particularly that national park, for sure, because when we were leaving at 11 or noon, it was packed. Literally there was probably, what, hundreds of cars lined up trying to get in. So for sure, get there early. Don't be afraid to stay at the KOA. And then afterwards, we hit Grand Teton National Park, which had some of the most amazing mountain ranges that we've ever seen in our life.
Which are actually connected, which we didn't know. One road connects both of them, so easy.
Fun fact. Not to mention, we actually boondocked in Grand Teton and highly recommend that as well.
It was amazing.
It was amazing. Had a phenomenal spot.
We loved it, and we think you guys will too.
Yeah, for sure.
Number 2.
Number 2.
And then together we're going to talk about the third one. So the third one was actually the first ever road trip we did in an RV, the one that we rented. And honestly, it was probably one of my favorites of all time. I really loved our West Coast road trip that we did with Rocky, our Airstream. But I still have such good memories about this road trip that we did in our rental RV. And that was basically the route from Arizona through Utah. A lot of it was old Route 66, and then a lot of it was just another highway that you take from the Grand Canyon up through Utah, and it was one of the most beautiful drives. There is so much to see, little things along the road that are just just as beautiful as some of the national parks you can come in contact with. You pass by Canyonlands, you go into Moab, you go to Arches, you started at the Grand Canyon. So basically there's so much to see just along this one route. Not to mention it kind of feels like a whole nother world in Utah and like by the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, it's crazy, guys. Literally when you're driving through Moab in that area, it doesn't necessarily look like an alien planet or anything, but it's just epic. It's just as baffling to me to see those rock formations and be like, holy crap, that was formed millions of years in time.
True.
It literally took millions of years to create a little hole in a rock that is now picturesque and epic.
Exactly, and I think that on this particular route, we probably saw the most like undocumented type area.
Yeah.
We saw some elephant ears, saw our favorite overlook, which we've shown you plenty of times before. It was just a miscellaneous stop along the road, a scenic view. So stop at all the scenic views along the way. You will not regret it. A recurring tip is just to get up early to get into these parks. We stayed the night in Moab, woke up at super early, crack of dawn, and went into Arches National Park, and it was probably one of my favorite days that we've ever had. So I think definitely stay in Moab. You can go to Arches, Canyonlands, and all these other surrounding areas just from there. And really you can't beat it because it's just so incredibly beautiful.
For sure. We don't have any videos from this trip because this is our first trip ever that we took. And we just kind of started to fall in love with the whole idea of road tripping and everything like that. So we have a couple of pictures. Obviously, we were throwing them in during the video.
Right.
I'm sorry we didn't have any video for that. Maybe we'll have to do it again.
Yeah, I definitely would love to do it again. But really, you couldn't beat any three of these in 2019 if you're looking for a perfect road trip. The best part is that it's a short amount of driving for so much to see. Don't plan a time frame to get from point A to point B. Just take a whole day for the road trip itself because there's so much to see along the way. And really just enjoy it and take in all the views. Like I said, make all the stops, take all the photos.
All the photos. We stopped so many times, guys. I cannot tell you how many times we stopped and then I'll set the auto timer up on my car. For example, the elephant ears picture. I set the timer up on my car and it was probably 50 feet away. And I had about 5 seconds to get to Steph and I was trucking it.
So some awesome memories too, just good stuff.
Some of the best memories for sure.
And you can't beat a road trip too, you're just in the car all hanging out. So I think it's some awesome stuff that you can do in 2019. Let us know if you have any favorite road trips below to recommend to people as well, or to recommend to us to take later this year.
Next topic that we're going to talk about to kind of close this whole thing off is just one road trip that we really want to take in 2019, but we really would love to hit the East Coast and just kind of do that drive. We really want to go during the fall so we can see the fall foliage. One of my must-see on my bucket list is Shenandoah National Park. I think it's just stunning. I've seen amazing pictures. So that would definitely be one of the road trips that we want to pursue in 2019.
And if you have any recommendations for that particular road trip, let us know because we are welcoming any and all stops, food, anything along the way. So let us know below, guys, and let us know if you have any questions or need any recommendations for any of the road trips we recommended to you, because we're always happy to help.
We can talk about road tripping for days.
For sure. So let us know if you're planning on taking any of these trips. Cheers.
Have a good one.